Muribwanji, Mangwanani Malelepo Fukenjani, Keklas Vanave, Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. These are some of the stories we're looking at on Monday, the 24th of February. The UN calls for a ceasefire in Congo. South Africa invites Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky for a state visit. And the US could cut Ukraine's access to Starlink over minerals. Plus, Zambian President Hichilema reshuffles his cabinet ahead of the 2026 elections, and South Africa faces severe power cuts. We also bring you the latest in Zambia's current affairs, sports and entertainment with our correspondent Mike Sichula. Don't miss the stories shaping Zambia, Africa and the world. But first, over the weekend, the remains of Dr. Sam Nujoma, the founding father of the Namibian nation, were received and honored in Katima Mulilo and Rundu. Thousands gathered to pay their final respects to the revered leader. Today, Dr. Nuyoma's remains will be in Grootfontein. Now, this is what the procession route will follow. From the Air Force Base to the D830 road. From the D830 road, the procession will move to Kavango Road and then to Sam Nujoma Street and to Omolunga Stadium, where the official memorial service will be held. Meanwhile, Walvis Bay is preparing to receive the founding father on the 25th. In a touching tribute, lights honoring Dr. Sam Nujoma were switched on in front of the Civic Center. Erongo Red CEO Emmanuel Kananbeb shared that the light of the founding father will continue to shine on, symbolizing his enduring legacy.
We have to electrify those peri-urban houses, 1,800, in the next 4 months. The reason why we have taken the 4 months, we were informed through history that the founding president walked 4 months from Namibia through Botswana land until they reached their end. And I think, therefore, we are duty bound to do the same. And I guess the light of our president will be everlasting through our hearts and minds as we gather here tonight. Therefore, we as Erongo, I thank my team that's standing on the right-hand side for having taken on the assignment, having designed, having procured the material, and having been here tonight with us. Therefore, as Namibians, Honorable Governor, please accept our gratitude that it was a life given and a life taken by the Almighty Father. Therefore, we are happy, we are gratified that we had that one called Sam Nujoma. With this, please accept our gratitude and our small contribution. I thank you.
In our top stories, Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi will launch a unity government, his spokesperson said on Saturday, as he faces domestic pressure over his handling of an offensive by Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in eastern provinces. The M23's capture of swathes of eastern Congo and valuable mineral deposits has fanned fears of a wider war and provoked some members of the fractious opposition to openly predict his presidency will not last. On Saturday, Tshisekedi told a meeting of the ruling Sacred Union coalition not to be distracted by internal quarrels. Presidency spokesperson Tina Salama said Tshisekedi would form a government of national unity and make changes in the leadership of the coalition without giving further details. Since the start of the year, Congo has faced back-to-back losses in North and South Kivu provinces, fueling criticism of the authorities' military strategy. And in a related update, the United Nations Security Council unanimously adopted a resolution on Friday calling for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in the Democratic Republic of Congo. South Africa is set to host Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on a state visit, President Cyril Ramaphosa confirmed on X without giving a specific date. Now, the invite comes at the end of a week in which Kyiv was excluded from US-Russia talks on how to bring an end to the three-year war in Ukraine. In a phone conversation, Ramaphosa and Zelensky agreed on the urgent need for an inclusive peace process, according to a statement from the South African president. A sentiment Zelensky echoed by saying nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. South Africa, which has in the past been accused of having a closer relationship with Moscow, has tried to play a role in finding an end to the fighting. In 2023, Ramaphosa led a delegation consisting of 7 African countries, including Egypt, Senegal, Zambia, and Uganda, and met Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin. U.S. negotiators pressing Kyiv for access to Ukraine's critical minerals have raised the possibility of cutting the country's access to Elon Musk's vital Starlink satellite internet system. 3 sources familiar with the matter told Reuters. Ukraine's continued access to SpaceX-owned Starlink was brought up in discussions between U.S. and Ukrainian officials after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky turned down an initial proposal from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the sources said. Now, Starlink provides crucial internet connectivity to war-torn Ukraine and its military. The issue was raised again during meetings between Keith Kellogg, the U.S. Special Ukraine Envoy, and Zelensky, saying one of the sources who was briefed on the talks. During the meeting, Ukraine was told it faced imminent shutoff of the service if it did not reach a deal on critical minerals, said the source, who requested anonymity to discuss closed negotiations. According to Sputnik Africa's Elizaveta Roshina, Zambian President Hichilema has implemented changes at the ministerial and permanent secretary levels, firing several high-level officials, including a province minister, a government deputy chief whip, and multiple permanent secretaries. State House Private Secretary Bradford Machita said in a statement, new appointments include ministers for 2 provinces and a new government deputy chief whip, as well as permanent secretaries for key roles at the Ministry of Finance and National Planning and in provincial administration. Additionally, the president has reshuffled several positions in ministries as defense, local government and rural development, and lands and resources. The cabinet reshuffle is reportedly aimed at positioning Hichilema's government favorably ahead of the 2026 general elections scheduled for August 13, 2026. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. After the break, we get the Zambia reporter from Mike Sichula.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
It's time to talk to Mike Sichula as he brings us the news stories from Zambia, starting with current affairs. Mike Udibwanji.
Niribwino Muribwanji, Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning indeed. Now, members of the governing party, the UPND, staged a walkout from Parliament last week after an opposition MP proposed a motion to address the high cost of living in the country. All right, it seems like our mic is a bit frozen, but we're going to be able to continue with him just now. So, What we're going to be expecting from Mike Sichula is talking about this walkout from UPND members who are opposing the motion which is proposed by the opposition leaders. And he's also going to be talking about water contamination in the Kafue River possessing a major health risk for Copperbelt residents. Now, Mike Sichula, are you with us?
Yes, indeed. So, like you did say in the first story, members of the governing party did stage a walkout. So, in the history of Zambia, it was the first time, as I can remember politically, that members of the governing party are walking out from a motion to discuss the high cost of living. So, what a number of stakeholders, so as you can see, those empty benches behind, those were the benches that governing party MPs sat, and these that are walking out are from the opposition, and they were singing to say what the governing party has done is very bad. So the following day after this walkout, the chief government spokesperson did downplay the walkout, saying it was not anything that the executive had an obligation to comment to. However, we do not know the reasons, but however, the deputy chief whip was fired by the president and replaced by someone else, and also a certain provincial minister also lost his job and replaced by someone else. So speculations are very alive to the fact that maybe those two members of the parliament might have been amongst those that did stage a walkout, because the high cost of living was a promise that the governing UPND did assure members of the public in 2021 that once they are ushered into power, then there will be reduced cost of living. So them walking out on this highly topical and national topic did raise a lot of questions about their credibility to defend President Hakainde Hichilema in this crucial moment.
Sichula will certainly be keeping an eye on that, and we expect you, as always, to update us. Now, water contamination in the Kafue River is possessing a major health risk for Copperbelt residents. And after that, if you could also concisely go into the story of the government of Zambia scrapping off 15% export duty on all precious minerals.
So the water contamination has happened because of a Chinese-owned mine on the Copperbelt province did have its riverbank, its dam where they process copper, and then the dam where they do their waste products. So this dam burst because of the high rainfall that Zambia has been receiving. So as you can see from that picture, that is a crop, a maize field crop of some local farmers whose crops have been damaged. And also the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock has since warned members of the public to desist from eating fish from the Kafue River. And some water utility companies on the Copperbelt province, they have also cut water supply because the extent of the damage has not yet been ascertained, and they do not to risk the people of the Copperbelt in terms of them consuming water that is contaminated. So now the government has moved in to ensure that these people who have been cut from water supply are provided with clean and safe water, because this problem, government is also discussing on how farmers who have lost their crops are going to be compensated. The sad part about this is that last year farmers did not have their crops because of the dry spell. Then this year the rains have been very good, but yet again an unforeseen incident has happened. Then in the issue of the government removing 15% tax on precious minerals, this follows after one of the companies in Zambia, Kejam, which is like the third producer of emeralds in the world, raised a complaint over a tax of 15%. So the government has backed down, and it is not the first time this is happening. Also in 2019, the same company did condemn the introduction of 15% tax on emeralds, and the previous administration also did back down. So according to the new administration, they are saying this move is aimed at attracting new investors as well as giving Zambians an opportunity to export. So what has remained is the mineral royalty, which is pegged at 6%. So with the introduction of 15%, which has been scratched off, the export tax was supposed to be 21%, but this has faced resistance from the mining sector.
All right, Mike, that's very good news. We're going to see how that impacts Zambia's economy. Now, let's get into your sports news updates from Zambia. There is drama at FAZ elective as AGM, my goodness, at the elective AGM rather, the only incumbent, Andrew Kamanga, was declared eligible to stand for the presidency. To be clear, Mike, that means all other candidates for the FAZ were disqualified except Andrew Kamanga.
Yes, indeed. So on the 17th of this month, the Electoral Commission Board, that is overseeing the elections before the elective AGM on the 29th of March, did hold a media briefing and announced to say that out of 9 candidates that were vying for the office of president for the Zambian FA, only 1 did pass the integrity test. So 8 of them failed the integrity test because of different reasons. Some of them did, some of the candidates lost out because of lack of experience. Others lost out because they did not have, they were nominated by clubs that were not registered under the Football Association of Zambia. So this has created a lot of discussion, whereby the National Sports Council of Zambia, for instance, they have said that by the 28th of this month, they'll stop recognizing Andrew Kamanga as the president. Then those that have been rejected, they issued a statement warning that if nothing is done, then they are going to go to FIFA so that FIFA maybe should ban Zambia from international football. Then yesterday, the Copper Queens did face
You
Malawi
know, the
in
Copper
a friendly
Queens.
match. The Copper Queens also came out 2-0 victorious, and this match was supposed to be played on the Saturday, but because of the heavy rains, it was moved to yesterday, and Zambia came out victors via a 2-0 victory. It was the first time that the Swiss national coach Nora was taking charge of the Copper Queens, considering that Bruce Murphy was relieved of his duties. So on Tuesday again, tomorrow, the Copper Queens are going to face Malawi in their second international friendly. And the good part about this match is that it was fully packed, because a lot of Zambians are now lagging behind the Copper Queens.
Now, you know, Mike, if there's one thing that I do support in Zambia, it's the Copper Queens. I still maintain that it's the best footballing team in the region. Something else I love about Zambia is the quality of the mixologists. As we move into your culture and entertainment news, the Diageo Mix Off Zambia Top 10 Bartender Competition will take off in Lusaka. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so today the top 10, last month, top 20 from 500 applicants did showcase their skills in terms of bar, tender, mixing. And from that 20, 10 of them were selected. And those 10 today are competing for the third round, where the winner is going to walk away with worth 2,000 United States dollars. Then others are going to be taken up by given some scholarships in South Africa to train themselves on how they can become best bartenders for their clubs, for their pubs, and other entertainment spots in Zambia. So the idea is that when tourists come into Zambia, they must be treated by highly skilled tenders, and this is why this competition has been launched. It has attracted a lot of attention and also a lot of support from local bartenders, as you can see from those pictures last month that were taken. And these guys, I can assure you, Ashwin, they are highly skilled. And for the judges to pick 10 from 20, it was a very, very competitive decision that they had to make. So today, from the top 10, they are going to get the top three that are going to go the top 5 that are going to go into the last round. Then lastly, the issue of Slap D, like you did mention earlier on. Slap D's wife did post on her Instagram that she had ended the marriage with the popular singer. However, just a day after, when everybody was beginning to settle down to digest the story, to say, is this really true that it has happened or not? Then the singer himself, Slap D, who has got a huge following on social media with about 1.1 million followers, did post 11 seconds video with the wife, and he just said divorce without saying anything. He just said divorce, and from there onwards he's been posting pictures of him and the wife, and now it's like the wife did also come back on her Instagram page to post another issue that is just telling that the divorce is non-existent, the couple is still together. So it has caused a lot of surprise on social media, and people do not know what was really happening.
Yikes, what a twist and turn, Mike. But thank you for bringing us the comprehensive stories from Zambia, from the UPND walkout to the Copper Queens, and of course, that mixologist competition that's going to be happening in Lusaka. Thank you very much, Mike. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you very much for having me. Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning indeed. Let's have a look at the weather predictions. South Africa's power utility Eskom has announced controlled outages, cutting 3,000 megawatts of electricity from the grid due to what it called a temporary setback. The measure, known as load shedding, follows similar cuts in January after nearly 10 months of uninterrupted power. Eskom said it would provide an update but didn't specify the cause of the latest issues. The outages are often triggered by breakdowns at Eskom's aging coal plants, which supply most of South Africa's electricity. Load shedding is staged, with Stage 1 cutting 1,000 megawatts and Stage 6 being the highest level. Let's have a look at the economic indicators before we return to say goodbye. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Keep in mind that the remains of the founding father, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, will be arriving in Grootfontein today, going from the airport to the D830 to Kavango Road to Sam Nujoma Street, and ultimately landing in Omulunga Stadium for the official memorial service. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the rest of the Africa Good Morning team, Suraj Kanaka.